Hey, Cheryl, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be able to come on board.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. Got up early and got a bunch of stuff done. So kind of podcast.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read your bio. So this is the official introduction. And then I am going to ask you to tell us anything else about yourself that you would like us to know. So, and for everybody else's information, this is the biography that you provided for us. So you grew up in New Jersey. You went to a troubled regional high school. You attended college in Pennsylvania, and you played varsity sports, both field hockey and track.
Yes.
You volunteered for the American Red Cross, and you were on the board for the local chapter as the safety services director. You were also a soccer and field hockey coach at the Fort Worth Country Day School is the name of the school in Fort Worth. You worked for the Dallas Police Department for 26 years. You retired at the rank of sergeant. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Your assignments were in patrol, community policing, PIO, risk and liability of department safety team. You're a master peace officer for the state of Texas. You're a TCOL instructor. You taught at the Dallas Police Academy for 16 years as an adjunct instructor. You are on the board of the Dallas Junior Police Academy, and you currently serve as a reserve officer at a charter school in the Pleasant Grove area of Dallas. Your hobbies are vegetable gardening, butterfly gardening, and woodworking. And for full disclosure for everybody, you and I have been longtime friends. We have been assigned as partners together. We volunteered to work together. We ran around the streets of Oak Cliff together. We raised our children together. I consider you and your husband very valuable friends. Your husband was a mentor to me for years and years and years, and he is currently the safety director for an education system. And we've just had an interesting career. Both of us have had an interesting career. We're both retired. And that is absolutely why I wanted you to be on this podcast. I wanted people to hear the Cheryl view of retirement. But what would you like us to know about you that we didn't cover?
Well, because we have Brian and I have 7 children together. We've had a lot of life experiences, which did play into the retirement. And we have Brian does the hospice with the dogs, so we have a load of dogs. I mean, a load, 5, and we don't want 6, so don't ask. But that's it. My retirement journey has been very, I think, unique as opposed to a lot of other people, and so I think it'll be interesting for people to kind of hear how not specific was my retirement. Like, I didn't have a whole plan. I didn't have this whole pathway involved, and I didn't have this whole idea of how everything was going to go. I really thought we're just going to go and see where it takes us. And that's kind of how my retirement has gone.
Okay, well, since you brought that up, let's just jump right into that. How did you make the decision to retire from a very good career at the Dallas Police Department? You were very well respected. How did you make that decision?
Well, it was a personal decision. First of all, I don't let politics or other people's opinions affect the way I make choices. So number one, let's put that out there. Number two, it was very simple. It was a tragic situation where my daughter lost her husband and she became a widow at 27. And so that was very hard for me to walk through that with her. It's still very hard whenever my kids are going through something and it's really difficult. It affects a lot more than expected. So Brian had already left the department. My husband retired, and he had gone a month, literally a month, and this whole thing happened just out of the blue. And I went back to work. Everybody in personnel was laughing because they're like, "Oh, we got your ID card ready. We know you're leaving," But it wasn't like that. It was like that situation caused me to think I just need to retire, and that was it. I just knew right then I needed to go. It wasn't for any other reason. I just needed to leave the department at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, even that was a couple years ago, deepest condolences to you and your family.
Thank you.
Hard time. Hard
Mhm.
time. Okay, so you retired from the Dallas Police Department on your own terms, making a decision that you believe served yourself and your family.
Mhm.
Looking back on how you lived, how you worked your life, do you believe there's anything that allowed you to retire when you did? Do you believe there was anything that gave you the freedom to say, I need to retire?
I think the easiest part was yes, because I started the department when I was 30, and at 55 was fully invested in the drop program. So I mean, I had nothing holding me back. I mean, I went into drop at 50. I mean, I didn't come in at 20 or 21 like a lot of people who were in my academy class. So I had the freedom to go, I'm leaving. It's time for me to go. I mean, everything fell into place, literally by day. And so at that point, I knew it was just a matter of when I was going to leave.
Yeah, that freedom. I hear the word, the feeling of freedom. You had the freedom, you set yourself up well. So then when the time came, you could take advantage for it. And unfortunately, it was a tragedy, but I can't even imagine trying to take care of your child and still having to work 50, 60 hours a week, plus the commute, and not being able to give your attention, your time really to either to the job or to your family.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
okay, so now your retirement, your retirement is it's a joy for me to watch, but let's hear about your retirement. How is your retirement life looking?
Well, as soon as I retired, when I retired, Christina was at the end of her freshman year in high school. So I still had a girl in high school, still paying for medical insurance. So there's that. But with Chris in high school and all of this happening this way, the unintended beautiful consequence of retirement early was I got to spend her sophomore, junior, and senior year with her doing all of her activities, going to all her tennis matches, watching her grow. And then Brian and I, after we both left the department in 16, in September of 16, we bought a house. Okay, we'd been driving 40 miles to work every which way. Now we're like 10 minutes from work. And Brian's like, why did we wait? I'm like, I don't know. But we're closer to Dallas than we ever were. But, we were able to move Christina to a new school, which was for me very, very concerning. It was funny how things are happening emotionally that you're not expecting. Like, I really had a hard time moving her out of the school system she was in, even though it wasn't a good school system at all. But I was the unknown of moving her to Red Oak, which scared the crud out of me, which totally didn't realize because it was the most amazing school system that we could have ever moved her into. So, I mean, again, God's hand on everything. And so with that doing, those are the kind of things that kind of happened along the way, those unintended things out of nowhere. And you kind of look back and say, what a blessing that was. Because I mean, and I didn't know that she would want me to be at everything, but this girl's like, Mom, can you come? You're going to be there? What time are you going to, instead of like, no, you don't come. I don't want you anywhere near me. She's like, you need to show up. So I was able to do that for her. And I wasn't able to do that for the other kids because, I mean, we did everything we could for not only, for all of the other three of my children, but the other three of Brian's kids. We went to all their activities but we weren't able to be like fully involved with that, which is what I would have liked to have done. But it really made a difference in myself and my youngest one's relationship. It came out, I mean, it just grew that relationship, and people are always commenting on how close they think we are, which is funny because, it's not something that wasn't intentional. Honestly, it was just like, I asked God to help me be the best mom I can to everybody. And then, to help me show me how to be a good mom to her. And he did. So it was a blessing.
And she's thriving. I mean,
Yeah.
she is thriving. Look at how far she has flown.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's a unique kid. But all of them are. They're all high achievers. They've all done well. They were all doing things that that were totally out of the blue and unexpected, but extremely fun and exciting to watch. So, there's always some stuff that's kind of like, but yeah, it's been amazing. So.
And we are fellow gardeners. We both love to garden, and that takes up time and
Yes, it
energy,
does.
finances. But how does that fit into your life? What do you get out of that now?
Well, my gardening has taken when I first started gardening here, when I first got out of left the department, I started just regular, just gardening. But I got a hold of Howard Garrett, the Dirt Doctor books, and started doing organic gardening. And so all of my plants are organic. And so I really focused on reconditioning soil and all that. Anyway, growing things that don't have a lot of no pesticides and anything like that in them. And so as an interesting result, a friend of mine who cannot have any vegetables or anything with any pesticides, the only vegetables she eats are the ones that I bring her. So I'm able to help her with that, and then grow vegetables. And it's fun to walk through the garden and just chew as you go. So it's a lot of work, but it's also fun. And then it's really enjoyable to watch the vegetables coming in, and and making your choices. So in your selection. So I think that lots of growing up to do when it came to gardening, but it's been fun.
So the retirement coach in me is just like cheering you on through this, because it's keeping you mentally active, it's keeping you physically active, and you're still serving other people, which has always been important to you. It's always been important to you. And you've always been responsible to the community and to the world. And so what you're doing in your gardening fits all of those things, which in turn takes care of you. So even if not intentionally, you're benefiting from everything that you're doing. Now, I was so impressed that you picked up, or that you're continuing your woodworking hobby.
Yes, I like it. I just made this. I'm going to show you. I just made this pen the other day.
Oh,
Made
Cheryl,
this
that's
one.
gorgeous.
Yeah, that was a fun pen to make. And the other thing I really enjoy is making bowls. This is a small bowl. It's made out of a sycamore. So it's
That is
harvested
beautiful.
here in Texas. Yes. But I mean, it's a tiny bowl, but I like to make things that are functional. I'm part of a woodworkers club in Hunt County, because Dallas County really doesn't have anything for me here. But they are really amazing people. They are freaking amazing in Hunt County. If you're interested in wood turning, I highly recommend them. They are the most welcoming and helpful people on the planet. But a lot of the guys do wood, and they turn it so that it's like, oh, isn't that pretty up on the shelf? But I like to turn stuff that you can use in everyday life, that's functional, that you can use, that you can put things in and eat from, or whatever, but for me, everything's food safe. And how I see that. Plus I also build different shelves. I've built potting benches, swinging chairs. I've, bench chairs for the garden. I made all my outdoor furniture. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste anything when we redid our arbor, and had all this cedar laying around. Brian's like, well, let's go burn them. I'm like, so I'm like, no. I'm going to build stuff with it. So, out of the blue, I just started putting things together and making tables and side tables for our little bit, just everything. And so, so for me, it's very rewarding to sit outside, put my little iced tea down on my little table, and, I made that, and then it's fun. It's really fun. So I enjoy it.
You're doing something that keeps you mentally and emotionally, physically active, which a lot of us, I don't think we realize that we're doing it when we're doing it. We think we're just doing something.
Right.
I think we're filling time, or, whatever, but we're actually, it's going to help us live longer. It's going to keep us contributing. So both of us are wives of police officers. and, you know, your husband up to the rank of chief, my husband, an active SWAT officer. My retirement happened very easy, but my husband is still working. So, you know, I retired at 30 years. He's still working at 33 years. Do you think that being the wife, the spouse of a police officer, do you think that affected our decision to retire or has affected our retirement? Is there anything about that that's come into play for you?
I think that because Brian has a strong retirement, like I left the department because we left within, I mean, he left in March and I eventually finally left in August of the same year. So we were very close in there. I don't think that if it did, it was because we had the stability and the stability of the funds being in place for us to do that. So we didn't feel like, you know, I mean, our house is paid off, our cars are paid off, you know, we had all of these things in place, you know, using the old Dave Ramsey, you know, financial literacy, let's go Dave, and still listen to him on podcasts and things like that, and, you know, still subscribe to, you know, his thought processes on that, which is extremely valuable. So I think those things helped. The fact that we're police, not so much. The details of the retirement were more important than the job, honestly. But I mean, the job for me was, I think, extremely rewarding. I still, like I said, I with the Dallas Junior Police Academy, and I'm on their 501c3 board, and I'm at Dallas PD literally monthly. I run into people every day when I'm there who are like, oh my gosh, you know, and so there's always that reconnect, which is nice. And but you know, people are always saying how cool it was to have worked with me, and that, you know, they tell me these wonderful things, and I keep telling them it really isn't about me. I didn't really do anything new. I said, you know, I just did what Brian did, my husband. You know, he's the one who really started the whole community policing process in Dallas with John Matthews, and you know, he's the one who always taught me how to be really nosy when it comes to things. And so for me, it was just you know, it was just really easy, honestly. I mean, I really haven't left much, so.
Yeah. I'm going to contradict you here for a second, because you did very great things for Oak Cliff, and we worked very, very hard, and not always with the support of everybody else, but we deeply believed in what we were doing.
Mhm.
And people who go to Bishop Arts,
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, we've got some blood, sweat, and tears up in that area there, sister.
We
You
drove
know,
through there the other day and we're pointing out the locations when the late place where you were up in the tree and we were cleaning the graffiti in the house. And we were just like, let's go by that lady's house, you know, and just all these things, all the memories and all the activities we did up in that area specifically, but all through Oak Cliff,
yeah,
from the top to the bottom, honestly.
yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's doing a job differently than I think than the way that a lot of police officers see their job. You know, they do their 8 or 12 and go home, and we always put our personal selves invested into the community, not just our work hours.
Yeah.
So,
And then still answering calls for service.
yes.
And we got oftentimes we got great results from the citizens because they knew that we cared and they knew that we were committed. And especially when we pointed out to them that we were awake in their neighborhoods more than we were in our own neighborhoods. You know,
Right.
we had small children at the time. So yeah.
Mhm.
So I want to give you some credit there. I want to
Thank
give you
you.
some, you are absolutely right. You know, at the time, Sergeant Cornish and Senior Corporal Matthews really led by example for us and allowed us to do our jobs. So yeah,
Mhm.
good memories, right? Good memories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I found in retirement that I have to remind myself of the good memories, because it's the bad stuff that often creeps up uninvited. You know, it's the I mean, we worked the streets, in the early 90s, and Dallas was a very deadly, deadly city during those
Yes.
times. Lots of death and destruction and just lots of tragedy. And then, all the coworkers that we lost and all the rest of the stuff. But when I remember the good things, it is it energizes me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of bad stuff did happen, but I think that, what you and I did as officers, and I think I can speak, and if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think we saw what we needed to do, and then we did it. And we didn't honestly sometimes ask permission. We just begged forgiveness occasionally, but everything that we did was good. It was a value, and it was beneficial to the community and to the people that we serve as a whole. So being honest and fair with them is paramount. And I really feel bad for officers that feel like today they can't be honest and fair with the people they serve. They feel like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, you can, but you just have to accept the consequences of being fair and honest. And I was willing to do that, and I think you were too. And I know you were, because I've seen what you've been through, and I appreciate what you've done. So
Yeah, it does. And obviously we don't want to get into the crap of everything, but it does really hurt my heart that these officers these days are not able to have the same support that you and I and several of our coworkers were able to get. We were served well by the community that we served.
yes, absolutely. And they let us know it. I mean, you and I would be at meetings, in the evening, and then late at night, we'd be walking the alleys looking for stuff, and they would see us. And then at the next meeting, they're like, what were you doing in the alley? And I'm like, oh, I was looking for stolen property, and we were, maybe searching for a guy with a gun. And they're like, man, thank you so much. And they didn't look at us as the Dallas Police Department officers. They looked at us as their officers. And I think that's the intrinsic value of community policing. And I think that we lose that when we're just not focused on doing things for the community.
Yeah, and I think me personally, I think I found some strengths in myself that continued to serve me throughout my career and that served me in my retirement during that time. You just kind of learn about yourself and how you like to do things, and your reward system, your own internal reward system.
Right.
So, do you have anything planned? Do you have anything, or are you still just kind of letting things happen as they happen in your retirement?
Organically?
Yeah.
I'm always trying to see what sticks. I think, I do things, and then if it doesn't stick, I move on. I don't get all excited about it. I don't get depressed about it. I just want to do what I can. So, I'm still a reserve officer. I don't call it reserve anymore for the state. They changed that title, but I'm still a volunteer officer for A+ charter schools in Pleasant Grove. And I enjoy that tremendously. I really do like that. People was like, why don't you get paid? It's like, I'd rather not get paid. Thank you so much. But on a side note, I do have a side job that I do that I get paid at, and I can pick and choose what days I go in and when I go in. And so I like that a lot. And I get to travel. I mean, I get to travel because my job is not binding. And, I have just come back from 2 and 15 days in Hawaii with my youngest, and she's still there now playing as a tennis pro on the Big Island of Hawaii. And so being able to do that, I get to go see my parents next week. Both my mom and dad are still with us, which is amazing, right? For, as old as I am, my parents are still on this planet and upright. So I get to go and see them and help my brother plant his garden. He's a gardener too. It's more like a farm, but we just call it a garden. And so I help him with that. And so I do a lot of things to keep my time busy and to stay active. And it's funny because even, like you were saying, people appreciate us in Oak Cliff. My youngest brother, Tim, who's in his 30s. Yeah, in his 30s. I remember. He was like saying he ran into somebody who knew me in high school, and he said all they did was talk about me. like, because, being nice and being kind and being friendly, that they were like always surprised that, that people could be kind and, not like bullies and jerks. And so I think that carried over into, for your life as a professional. It carries into that profession. And I think those things are extremely important. So, I think there's a lot of value there, but I don't know. I just seem to think that I don't have any next thing right now. I'm just, I am working on something a little different, which is kind of unique, but I'm working on taking classes on the threat assessments in school districts. So I've taken the basic and an advanced. And so I really, honestly, after taking those classes, I really see myself working in a school district, helping them with their threat assessments because they're really regulated by the state. And so it's extremely important that all this be done properly and efficiently. And so that's the next thing I'm doing. I mean, if that doesn't work, that's great. I have all that knowledge. My husband's doing those on a freaking daily basis. So, when I say, hey, wait a minute, check that out, I give him some check boxes to go through, and oh yeah, thanks, So again, it's always been a tag team thing with Brian and I. We like to help each other and serve each other well that way. So, but I don't have any plans, no. I am going back to Hawaii again to see Christina on the Big Island. So, gee.
Yeah.
So,
well, I definitely want to say thank you very, very much. I always enjoy talking with you, and I think that our listeners are going to hear the joy and some of the heartache, but some of the lifelong lessons, the living, and how living today is going to help you live tomorrow.
mm-hmm.
That there is life after retirement. There could be good life after retirement, and retirement doesn't mean that we just stop. We don't just stop, but that you did some preparation to get ready. And I remember when we were leading that first really large Dave Ramsey class, and you and your husband were in it, and we thought we would get maybe 30 people, and ended up with 125 at headquarters.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And again, thank you to the department for allowing us to do that for our officers. And thank you to the Dave Ramsey company for helping us do that.
Absolutely.
But having said everything that you want to say and everything that you've shared, and again, thank you so much for that. Here's the big question. And this is where my husband and I collaborate. This is the question he really likes me to ask. And how do you want Cheryl Cornish to be remembered?
That's a big question, but I think in the end, I think it's that she loved well. That's it.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you again. We are going to include your contact information in the notes. So anybody who wants to get a hold of you, I know that you are a wealth of information for current and retired first responders, and anybody else who listens to this and just wants to reach out to you. And we would like everybody to subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, any of your questions. And my contact information will also be included in the show notes. So anything else you want to say, Cheryl?
Thank you so much for having me on. And that I appreciate all the things that you're doing with your coaching and continuing with the financial piece with Mr. Ramsey's organization and your positivity. And I mean, I'm always able to, when somebody says something about Kimberly Stratman, if it's right, I agree. And if it's wrong, I set them straight because I know.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Always have each other's backs. Transparent, honesty is always what matters. Definitely.